All right. Got the KPM 200. It's a 2023. I've had it for 4 months. Got it on Amazon. And the sticker price on it was 3,200. That's pretty misleading. You hear people say these are $3,000 bikes. Real cheap cafe racer. The truth of it is, you're probably 3,800 if you're lucky. You got shipping, you got tax, tag, title, and that all costs money. So I think this one I was in just under 3,800, all said and done. Um, and I did insure it for a year, so I paid up front, and I did 2-year tags in Arizona. So that's there are a couple parts on the bike that I don't like that were just too cheap. The bike is from China, so it's made out of Chinesium. We all know how that goes. It is a good bike though, and the company that sold it is great. I've had some issues with it right out of the gate. I lost and you'll see this. I lost a fill cap for the radiator, and the kickstand broke. Like the first time I took it off road, River Rock came up, smacked it, and busted off a little tong on the bottom, and the spring shot off. So I reached out to the company, and they're aware of what I did to the bike. I took it from Cafe Racer to Scrambler. This is the point of me buying this bike. And they sent me the parts. No questions asked. They didn't charge me anything for it, so that was cool. They respond within a couple hours. To be honest, I didn't want to like this bike, but it's been a decent bike, and the response from the company has been really good. I prefer Japanese bikes, but I'm kind of doing this as a trial run. I wanted to make some videos. I saw these on YouTube. I believe Bikes and Beards took a couple of them and turned them into Cafe Racer. Or, I'm sorry, they took them from Cafe Racer to Scrambler. And that's what I did with this. I thought it was cool to get something like that for. I mean, so truth be told, this bike, the way it sits, I'm in at about $4,600. That's what this video is. So you're gonna see. I took the street, I say that loosely, but street tires off of this bike, and I installed some off-road tubeless tires. They're Golden Boy tires. Those were $220 mounted. I did the full exhaust system from the gentleman who he's got. You can find his videos on YouTube, but he I don't know if he produces these or he buys them from China, and it does fit on the bike. It's almost a direct drop in. The O2 sensor just screws right into it, and it gives the bike a really good sound. But you'll see later on in the clip, there's a weird bracket that is on that exhaust that doesn't seem to go anywhere on this bike. So there's like a metal tab with an eyelet in it, and it just kind of just hangs out there. So this thing just 2 bolts into the head, and then you've got the, I guess like strap. There's a steel strap with a rubber grommet around the actual exhaust that bolts up to the, like where your foot peg is up at the top. That's all that holds that on there. But it's been tight, and I've had it off road 5 times. I've got almost 1,000 miles on this thing, and they're not easy miles. My goal is to just beat on this thing to see what happens. That was the whole purpose, and then I'm gonna 6 months a year sell it. I was just curious. This is all out of curiosity, honestly. Um, so the other thing I had to get rid of the first time I rode this bike, I knew like the tires were garbage. They're okay, and this bike only does. I'm 6'2", 225 pounds. So I can get this thing up to 67 on a flat road, and that takes miles. If I lay down, I hear people say they get up to 75. That's not my experience. I think you'd have to be a smaller rider to get the bike up to that speed. It is a 6-speed, and the gears are very high. So your first gear, I think you're maybe 15 miles an hour, and the thing is just revving like crazy. So it does, in that aspect, it gives you enough power to get out of, off the line. It's not going to stall out on you. It's a very easy bike to shift and ride. It does miss second gear often. That is the issue I've had with it. So the grips were another thing you're going to see in this video. I could not stand the stock grips on these. Were terrible. Absolutely terrible. The levers they were really light aluminum, like a cast type of aluminum that you find on a lot of these Chinese bikes, and they were they were so soft you could literally bend them with your hand. I hated the feel of them. Super cheap. So I bought some billet aluminum on Amazon. You'll see those are silver. The other thing on the bike, I did a tank bag. You'll see it on there. It's a magnetic tank bag, also from Amazon. Just put your wallet, and you could put all your paperwork for the bike in there if you had to. It's a waterproof tank bag. The bash bar I bought from a company on eBay, and they build them, believe it or not, in Ukraine, of all places. So I ordered that from war-torn Ukraine, and the shipping took about 3 weeks. The bash bar was $240. And then I mounted some LED spotlights to those for off-road night riding. Those were on Amazon. And that complete kit, it's a mounting bracket that I ordered separately, and the light kit, they ran me about $120. And the exhaust, just to mention, the exhaust does have a dB killer, so it's not ridiculously loud. I can run it without, but it is so loud you wouldn't want to do that. And honestly, the bike doesn't move fast enough to justify having it that loud. The other thing is I live in Arizona, Phoenix. Would not recommend this bike on the freeway here. People drive crazy out here, and this bike will not go fast enough on the freeway, and you are just basically, you're a crawling target, if you will. So if you're in a smaller town, or you're just going to ride this on the street, or better at dirt roads like myself, then I would highly recommend the bike, because it is fun. Then you run into the problem that I'm $4,600 into a Chinese bike to get it to this point where you can take it off road, and it's not going to dump you. It's durable. It does run fairly well from my experience. I haven't had any issues with it mechanically, but it's just a hard press. You're better off getting any used Japanese bike that can do off road. I mean any used Japanese bike. A used bike from the 80s is probably equivalent to what this is, and it would probably be more reliable. Just Chinese reliability is just not there. But with that said, we'll get into the video. I'll pause it for a few when I'm showing the parts off, just so I can describe what the part was, what the part number is. All right, let's go. All right, these are those Golden Boy tires. Trail tire. It's a tubeless off-road, maybe cross sport type tire. There's the tank bag from Amazon, and there's the Pro Taper grips. Those are just kind of the middle of the road Pro Taper grips. They're not super aggressive, but they're the pillow, the cushion grips. They're nice. You can see the billet aluminum levers, night and day over the old, the stock ones. That is a camera mount for a cheap Vivitar Walmart camera that I'm testing out also. It was $40. It's a terrible camera. Highly don't recommend it. Let's see here. Alright, we're going to get down on a shot of that exhaust here. The other side of the tank bag, and it's just got little magnets in the bottom there, and they stick to the tank. They're very strong. That thing doesn't move at all. Alright, there's the stainless steel exhaust. And the dB killer is not in the tip. It is in where the header or the pipe goes into the exhaust, right there where the springs are. It's in between there, so you don't see it. The sound is much better. The clip I was talking about earlier with the eyelet is that guy right there. There is nothing to mount that to, so I think this exhaust was actually designed for a different bike, and it just so happens that it fits this bike. Just my thoughts. Either way, the exhaust is good. You could cut the tab off, or just like I did, you could just leave it. It's not anywhere near anything where it's going to hit it, so I don't think leaving it on there is going to hurt anything at all. can see I've got a scuff mark from off-roading. I think a rock flew up there and smacked it. So it is thick stainless. It will scratch it, but it did not dent it. So it's a very high quality stainless steel. It's good stuff. Highly recommend the exhaust. You'll see coming around to the front of the bike. So that strap on the exhaust itself, and then the two bolts that basically bolted into the head are the only thing that hold that exhaust on there. But it's sturdy. Hasn't moved on me. Alright, this is the bash bar. So engine guard, brush guard. That is the piece I bought on eBay, and that is made in Ukraine. And there's 6 bolts, and that thing bolts right up to the bike, and it is on there. I could pick that bike up with that thing. It is very sturdy. Those are your LED lights. They're, I believe, for a Jeep. And then I bought the mounting kit, which you'll see around the base of the light, and it looks like a metal bracket that goes around the 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch pipe. That was sold separately. But that kit together, you can easily find it on Amazon. It's kind of like a one-size-fits-all. It'll go on, I think, 1/2 inch, 3/4, 1 inch. And those things are tight as can be. You could also see in the fill cap, I had a stainless steel bolt, some tape on it for the time being. They're shipping me a new reservoir. So that should correct a lot of that. This is just a good shot of the front. And the brakes on this thing are adequate. You got a single disc. Alright, so pros and cons coming up on this bike. We'll save it for the end. So there's my light switch I mounted there. And that's just an on-off switch. I don't have it on an accessory, which I will be rewiring it for that. So it's just wired directly to the battery, which is not good. You don't want to do that. If you bump that switch, it will turn your lights on whether the bike's on or not. So yeah, I'm going to get a little peanut relay or a Mars relay, and that will be wired to an accessory so that it will only run if the bike is running. It's probably the better way to do it, or at least while the accessory is on. It's kicking on. And they're bright. It illuminates about 8 feet in front of the bike, and it illuminates about a 180-degree view around the front of the bike. And that headlight shoots out about another 6 feet ahead of it. So it gives you plenty of light when you're doing a night ride. And I can see on the sides of the road, which is really nice, because that's what the headlight on this bike wasn't good for off-road use. You know, it gets way out ahead of you, but it was very narrow. So that really helped out a lot. Gives you a big, wide angle of view. So that's good. Alright, so in closing, most important thing, I got to come up with a name. Starting this channel. I was thinking something with 3 G's or 4 G's. So you will see as I start bringing videos out, I'm about guns, games, retro gaming, and go-go's. So anything with a motor that moves. Motorcycles, cars, dune buggies, bikes, quads, boats, planes, helicopters, that kind of stuff. That out of the way. In closing, would I buy this bike again? Or would I buy this bike if I was in the market for something like this? No. I would go use Japanese. KLR, Honda 250, 200, the TW, something. You could pick those up used for $2,500 to $4,000. You can get a good one for $4,000. And to me, the reliability of this bike, it's running great now, but I know people that own Chinese products. I've owned in the past. I've had many bikes. I own many bikes now, and they don't last. So it's not something you're going to own for a long time. And the price point on these new just doesn't make sense. Even with a 2-year warranty, who's going to fix it? There's nobody is a life in dealer, at least not in Arizona. I know some bike places around here that'll work on Chinese stuff. But again, is it worth fixing it? You know, these can be expensive to obtain parts for. It's not like you can just go to like Ride Now or any of these other dealerships that sell the Japanese, European, American stuff where they have parts on the shelf and they can fix it for you. You know, it's just, I guess it depends on what you want. For me personally, it's just not worth it. I would not I can't recommend one of these new. Now, if you can get a used one real cheap, 1,500 bucks or 2 grand, maybe somebody wrote it, or if you're mechanically inclined and you can do the work yourself, then that 2 year warranty might work out. But they're going to ship you the parts and you got to fix it yourself. Or, good luck trying to find somebody to work on it. So, um, not bashing on the bike. It is what it is. And there's probably people out there that own these that love them. That's fine. I mean, I like the bike. There's nothing wrong with it. I just, like I was saying, I think I would go the used Japanese bike route. But we're going to do some other cool stuff with this thing in the future. We're going to build a trailer for it, like a little teardrop or square drop type camper. We're going to try to turn this into like an off-road camper type bike where we can take a teardrop trailer out with us, and that'll all be recorded, the whole build process. I don't know how that's going to go down yet, but that will be in the future. So anyway, thanks for watching, and if you guys have any comments or anything, leave them down below. If you have any questions on the bike too, just reach out. I'm pretty open about anything. I'm obviously not sponsored. Nobody watches this channel, so I can be very honest. You're going to get my opinion and not, what I'm being told to say. So, yeah. Have a good one.